As a first-time visitor, Japan leaves an indelible impression on both the mind and the soul. It's a quietly overwhelming place. Everything here is done with an intention and a purpose. Even in daily life, the smallest details seem to be labored over and refined until no better result is possible. That sort of obsession to quality is what so appealed to me about Japanese hi-fi during its heyday when I was getting into this hobby. I'm happy to see that this mindset is still alive and well, and in grand fashion, as I make the second stop during my visit to Japan. Welcome to Technical Audio Devices Laboratories, or TAD Labs. There are two distinct areas that I'll be visiting while here at TAD. The first one is here in Kawagoe, Japan, northwest of Tokyo. This is where all the electronics are designed and manufactured. The other area is about a 2-hour train ride further north to the city of Tendo. And Tendo is where all the speaker design work and manufacturing takes place. Here on the Pioneer lot in Kawagoe, Japan, we approach Building 6. The building where we find TAD. Almost immediately upon entering TAD's Kawagoe manufacturing facility, we were invited to put on anti-static slippers and cleanroom attire in order to be able to fully enter the area. Apparently, they don't get many visits from either sumo wrestlers or non-petite American audio journalists. I'm sure I broke a few buttons on my cleanroom smock while here. And finding size 12.5 slippers? Forget about it. We then entered a rather small room where TAD Labs CEO, Mr. Shinji Tarutani, introduced us to a patiently waiting technician. It would be here where I and my partner in crime, Jacqueline Inglis from Inglis Public Relations, would be observing this very composed technician completely assemble a TAD MX1000 TXS stereo power amplifier from start to finish. On your mark, get set, go. While TAD started making its own branded professional speaker drivers in 1979, the consumer-branded electronics came later, in and about 2009. And those electronics all come out of this room. Our extremely skilled and patient technician, on a normal workday, will be the only one assembling components. If there are a significant number of orders in the pipeline, a second technician will join in to balance the production load. If orders are really high, then the technical manager steps in and lends a hand. At its busiest, when things are really cooking, there will be no more than 3 people in here putting together components. There's a detailed production Bible produced for every TAD component that outlines every item and procedure needed for assembly. And every part, down to the smallest screw, is itemized and prepared in advance to be readily at hand for our technician to complete her work successfully and efficiently. The process here is very much a two-way street. Any issues that our technician may encounter during her work, or any ideas she may have on improving the process, will be communicated to the manager and, if agreed upon, incorporated into her workflow. That is wild.
Monster.
Yeah, it's a Godzilla transformer.
Yeah. This transformer also
Custom made for TAD?
Yeah, custom made.
Now, all the parts produced in Japan?
Yes.
All the parts produced in Japan?
Actually, the electronic parts sorry. We request Japanese supplier, but they sometimes make the parts in China or in Asia.
Gotcha.
So this one, assembly process. Finish. Check.
And these line up with these? Do each of these numbers line up with the different?
Not this. The some connector.
Oh, those are the individual steps.
This one is wire connector.
Ah, okay.
I don't know the operator. So is there anyone who interested in the TAD production? So after some of the candidates and check the skill. Okay.
One interesting thing about the new M1000TX stereo power amplifier that you're seeing being assembled here is that it's a Class D design, so a Class D amplifier design. But you're going to notice the absolutely ginormous, and I'm not kidding, ginormous, linear power supplies for each channel. I mean, you have the transformers, and you have 4 huge strapped capacitors, 2 per channel. They're just monstrous to power, to get the power to the Class D amplifier board sections. Anyone who thinks that Class D amplification is not suitable for true hi-fi reproduction, beg to differ with you. Gorgeous. Oh, wow.
Something to finish the rest Here the
Thank you very much. This is wonderful work. Thank you. All done by this lady right here. Awesome. Thank you very much. We ended our day with an enjoyable listening session with the rest of the TAD staff in the Kawagoe listening room. We sampled a pair of TAD R1 reference series loudspeakers and some matching TAD electronics, including a pair of massive M700 monoblock amplifiers. Tarotani-san cautioned me that this room was probably a bit on the small side for these speakers, and that the listening room up at the Tendo facility was better tuned. I wasn't complaining. I thought the system sounded phenomenal, and I was thoroughly enjoying listening to what these speakers were capable of here. The next morning, we took the 2.5-hour bullet train ride from Kawagoe to Tendo, where we eventually arrived at TAD's loudspeaker R&D and manufacturing facility. This was also located within another sprawling Pioneer production complex, this one specializing in Pioneer car audio. That's so awesome. Thank you very much. Oh, okay. Yeah. Here, we met with Mr. Toru Nagatani, who is the head of TAD's speaker design department. Nagatani-san walked us through a little history of TAD and its overarching inspiration and philosophy, after which we would tour the company's mini museum area. Although TAD was officially established as a consumer hi-fi brand in 2007, the brand can trace its evolutionary roots all the way back to 1937, when Pioneer introduced Japan's first dynamic speaker driver, the A8 concentric driver. That coaxial speaker technology would evolve to become one of the core pillars of TAD loudspeakers to come. Through the early 1970s, the unofficial mindset/groundwork for TAD kept developing through the release of products under Pioneer's Japan-only exclusive brand of electronics, and eventually loudspeakers, which tended to rely on the company's professional drivers. An important milestone in TAD's story happened in 1975, when Bart Lacanthe, an AES Fellow, multiple patent holder, and former VP of Engineering at JBL from 1960 to 1970, was made Vice President of Development at Pioneer North America. Working with Pioneer engineers, Lacanthe's knowledge and expertise were crucial in the development and debut of what would be a series of highly successful professional and studio speaker drivers. In particular was the pioneering use of the first beryllium diaphragm, another core TAD technology, in the Spec 15 horn driver released in 1976. These drivers were part of what started as the quote-unquote TAD project, which focused on the professional and studio music production markets. But it wasn't just Bart Lacanthe's expertise that helped shape TAD. It was his underlying philosophy that became central to how the company operates. Quote, "Real technology should stick to the basics without being technology-oriented, and always placing the highest value on sound quality," unquote. This ethos, combined with rigorous practical research and development, and that almost single-minded Japanese attention to detail and quality, are the defining hallmarks of what makes TAD so special. This was evidenced by the release of TAD's first branded consumer loudspeaker, the TAD Model 1, in 2003. This is ultimately what elevated TAD from its beginnings as a pro-market quote-unquote project under the Pioneer umbrella into being spun off as its own full-fledged consumer brand, Technical Audio Devices Laboratories, in 2007, now with full lines of speakers and electronics. The next part of our tour took us through 2 of the 5 anechoic chambers that are in operation in this huge complex. The smaller one is known as a 2-pi chamber, half-space free field with an infinite baffle, while the large one is the 4-pi full-space free field chamber. Extensive loudspeaker testing and driver testing are done in both these spaces. If you've never been in an anechoic chamber, imagine being in a sound deprivation space when the doors are closed. It's so quiet that you can almost hear your own heartbeat. As a side note, in true Japanese fashion, these had to be the cleanest, most neatly maintained, and well-lit chambers I've ever been in. It was almost like being in a modern art exhibit instead of a test facility, so cool and clean these places were. Next came a visit to the production area where the drivers and crossovers are manufactured and loaded into finished speaker cabinets before they proceed to be tested and quality controlled. There are two specific soundproof test chambers in this area. One, called the woofer operation room, is to test drivers for proper polarity and operation before installation. The other is politely called the quote-unquote aging chamber. In here, completed speakers are exposed to near-failure input power testing with high-power pink noise and sine waves. Only the speakers that survive this testing are approved for shipment. In the driver production area, this technician is meticulously setting the gap between the beryllium diaphragm and the phase plug of a TAD ET-703A professional compression driver. The tolerance when setting this gap has to be within plus or minus 0.025 millimeters of the reference, so very precise eye and touch is involved in this process. All the consumer and professional TAD drivers are produced in this facility. Getting a chance to get up close and personal with the array of finished TAD cabinets that are either waiting for drivers or waiting for testing gives us the opportunity to really inspect the build quality and fit and finish of these speakers. Here we have a selection of silver-white ME1TX monitors that almost look like minions waiting to be tested. Then there are a series of beautiful CE1TX stand-mounted speakers receiving a final finish inspection before they are ready to be loaded with their drivers. And finally, there are a pair of TAD R1TX towers in that stunning emerald black finish, patiently waiting for the crossovers and drivers to be loaded. If only my suitcase and my credit limit were big enough. As beautiful and artful as these speaker enclosures are, they are not produced in this facility. Coincidentally, just a 5-minute car ride from this Pioneer complex is the giant furniture manufacturing and woodworking facility of Japanese luxury furniture maker Tendo Mokko. That is where TAD speaker enclosures are made. And, as you guessed it, we took a quick jaunt over there. Hello! Established here in the city of Tendo in 1940, Tendo Mokko has developed a reputation for producing beautiful custom designer furniture pieces for the Japanese and international markets. So skilled and capable are the staff and resources here at Tendo Mokko that they also produce all of the real wood automotive interior trim for the likes of Honda, Acura, and Toyota Lexus. I even discovered the zebra wood interior trim from my old 1992 Acura Vigor came from this place. Being here was strangely like visiting the birthplace of part of my car. I have never been to or seen a woodworking facility on a scale such as this. We are talking multiple football fields worth of production area with both CNC machines and handcrafts people producing all manner of wood products. I was only permitted to film and photograph the small production area devoted to the building of TAD speaker enclosures. And as you can see here, at the time of our visit, 2 pairs of R1TX were actively being worked on. To cap off our visit to TAD, we spent some time with Nagatani-san listening to the magnificent TAD R1TX speakers with equally stellar TAD electronics in the company's custom-designed listening room. I was introduced to some wonderful music that Nagatani-san curated for us, but I also got a chance to pick some music that I was more familiar with as well. Reflecting on my listening session from the previous day at Kawagoe, I understood what Taratani-san had advised me of regarding the listening rooms. As much as I enjoyed yesterday's session, these speakers sounded a little more clear and open in the mid-range, and the bass genuinely dug deeper in this room. For me, Technical Audio Devices Laboratories is a company born of professional and studio production experience. That, combined with a deep regard for rigorous scientific testing, the practical use of materials technology, and that Japanese obsessiveness for quality and artisanal craftsmanship, results in products that don't just sound and feel good, they have an identity, a soul. TAD is special, and as music lovers, we are all the better for it. I'd like to thank the entire staff of TAD Labs at both their Kawagoe and Tendo facilities, and the staff at Tendo Mokko for their kindness and hospitality. I appreciate the time they took to give me a deeper look at what goes on behind the scenes at TAD, and for allowing me to share that with you. Thanks for watching.